Deep in the highlands of modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea, there once stood a kingdom so powerful, so advanced, that it rivaled the greatest civilizations of its time. This was the kingdom of Axum, a place of towering obelisks, thriving trade networks, and a rich culture that left an imprint on the course of African and world history. Yet today, few people outside of historians and archaeologists know its name. Its story has been largely forgotten, overshadowed by other empires in Europe and the Middle East, but Axum's legacy remains undeniable. Imagine a city bustling with merchants from across the Red Sea, caravan trains laden with ivory, gold, and exotic spices, and towering stone monuments reaching toward the sky. Axum was not just a city or a kingdom, it was a crossroads of commerce, religion, and culture. At its peak, they controlled vital trade routes connecting the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean, linking Africa to distant lands in Arabia, India, and even the far reaches of the Roman Empire. Axum was more than just trade and wealth. Its rulers were visionary, building a state with sophisticated administration and forging alliances that extended its influence far beyond its borders. Kings like Azana would later leave an indelible mark, not only through conquest and diplomacy, but by embracing a religion that would shape the region for centuries. Christianity. Long before many parts of Europe adopted it, Axum became one of the earliest Christian states in the world, a testament to its openness to new ideas and its pivotal role in the history of Africa. Yet the kingdom's story is shrouded in mystery. Archaeologists still debate its origins, the full extent of its territory, and the reasons for its eventual decline. What caused this great empire, which once minted its own coins and built towering obelisks that still stand today, to fade from prominence? How did a kingdom so advanced disappear from the world's collective memory? In this documentary, we will journey into the heart of Axum, exploring its cities, its people, and its culture. We will uncover the secrets hidden in its ancient ruins, from the enormous stelae, the marked royal tombs, to the intricate artifacts that hint at a sophisticated society. We will follow the paths of merchants and missionaries, soldiers and kings, tracing how Axum rose to greatness and why it ultimately vanished from history books. By the end of our journey, the story of Axum will no longer be forgotten. Its legacy, one of innovation, wealth, and spiritual significance, demonstrates that Africa has always been home to great civilizations, capable of shaping the world in ways that still echo today. This is the tale of a kingdom that dared to reach the skies, a kingdom whose history is waiting to be rediscovered. Welcome to the Kingdom of Axum, Africa's forgotten empire. The Kingdom of Axum was nestled in the northern highlands of what is now Ethiopia and Eritrea, a region defined by steep mountains, fertile valleys, and a strategic location that shaped the empire's destiny. The highlands offered natural protection, making it difficult for invaders to penetrate the heart of the kingdom. At the same time, the fertile terraces carved into the slopes allowed farmers to cultivate grains such as barley, wheat, and teff, supporting dense populations and thriving communities. Streams and rivers cut through the landscape, providing water for agriculture and settlement, while the surrounding hills created a natural barrier that helped Axum maintain security and stability. This geography was also a gateway to opportunity. Axum sat near the Red Sea, giving it direct access to maritime trade with Arabia, India, and the Mediterranean world. The port city of Agilis became one of the kingdom's busiest trade hubs, where merchants exchanged gold, ivory, exotic animals, and textiles for spices, glassware, and fine goods from faraway lands. The combination of defensible terrain and access to trade allowed Axum to develop into a hub of wealth and influence, linking Africa to global networks in a way few other kingdoms could match at the time. The natural environment shaped not only the economy but also the culture and daily life of the settlements were often concentrated on higher ground, with houses built from stone and wood, while farmland expanded in terraces down the mountain sides. The highland climate, cooler and more temperate than the surrounding encouraged stable community, fostering the growth of local governance, administrative systems, and organized settlements that would eventually evolve into the kingdom's capital and surrounding cities. Geography was not just a backdrop, it was a crucial factor in Axum's rise as one of Africa's most powerful empires. The origins of Axum lie in a blending of indigenous highland communities and migrant groups from southern Arabia. Archaeological evidence shows that as early as the first millennium BCE, farming villages were established in the region, cultivating grains, domesticating animals, and forming tight-knit communities. Over centuries, these settlements evolved into early urban centers, laying the foundation for the centralized kingdom that would emerge. Axumite tradition and historical inscriptions suggest a mixing of cultures, with local rulers intermarrying with Semitic-speaking migrants. This fusion influenced the development of the GS language, which became the medium for inscriptions, religious texts, and official records. The early society combined local customs with imported ideas, creating a uniquely adaptable culture, capable of both preserving traditions and innovating in trade, governance, and technology. By the 1st century CE, Axum had begun to appear as a recognizable state. Monumental constructions such as obelisks and royal tombs demonstrated advanced engineering and social organization. These structures were not merely symbolic, they reflected centralized authority, religious significance, and the resources available to rulers who could mobilize labor on a grand scale. Early Axumite settlements also participated in regional trade networks, exchanging goods and ideas with neighbors, which helped the society grow more sophisticated and outward-looking. The consolidation of scattered settlements into a unified kingdom was a gradual but transformative process. By the 1st century CE, kings had begun centralizing authority, establishing control over both highland and lowland regions. This political organization allowed Axum to secure trade routes, protect its borders, and maintain a stable society capable of expansion. Monarchs were often symbolized through stele inscriptions and ceremonial spaces that highlighted both their authority and divine connection. The kingdom's leaders were strategic in commerce and diplomacy. They fostered relationships with foreign merchants and maintained internal production of gold, ivory, and other trade goods. The centralization of power enabled the creation of a bureaucratic system capable of supporting taxation, administration, and public works, making Axum a formidable regional power. Culture and religion were intertwined with governance. Indigenous beliefs blended with Southern Arabian influences, laying the groundwork for later religious developments, including the kingdom's adoption of Christianity. Early sacred sites, temples, and public spaces reinforced social cohesion, ensuring that religion, leadership, and culture are mutually supportive. This holistic foundation allowed Axum not only to rise but to endure for centuries, setting the stage for its golden age as one of Africa's most remarkable and influential empires. The kingdom of Axum's rise began with its early kings, visionary leaders, who transformed a cluster of highland settlements into a centralized and powerful state. These early rulers understood that strength came not only from military, might, but from strategic governance, economic management, and cultural unity. They established control over the fertile highland valleys, strategically placed mountain passes and key trade routes leading to the Red Sea, ensuring that the kingdom could defend itself against potential invaders while facilitating commerce. By centralizing authority, the kings could coordinate agricultural production, organize labor for monumental projects, and maintain social order across widely dispersed communities. Monumental, steely, towering stone obelisks and intricately carved inscriptions became symbols of royal authority, broadcasting the king's power to citizens in neighboring states alike. These structures were both practical and symbolic, marking royal tombs, commemorating victories, and reinforcing the divine legitimacy of the monarchy. Administration evolved alongside these symbolic acts. Local governors and officials were appointed to manage regions, collect tribute, oversee agricultural production, and maintain trade networks. Scribes and record keepers documented transactions, laws, and decrees, demonstrating the kingdom's growing bureaucratic sophistication. Early Axumite kings were also forward-thinking in trade policy. They recognized that wealth and influence depended on commerce, particularly through the Red Sea port of Adu. Merchants from Arabia, India, and beyond traveled to exchanging spices, textiles, glassware, and luxury goods for gold, ivory, and exotic animals. The kingdom minted its first coins, both silver and gold, which served not only as currency but as a symbol of sovereignty, signaling to foreign traders that Axum was a state with both political authority and economic reliability. This combination of centralized power, economic foresight, and symbolic authority allowed Axum to establish a foundation that would endure for centuries, setting the stage for territorial expansion and cultural achievements that would astonish historians and archaeologists alike. With internal structures solidly in place, Axum turned outward, extending its influence into surrounding regions. Military campaigns secured the fertile lowlands, bringing neighboring communities under the kingdom's control. Axumite armies were composed of infantry trained to defend the highlands and cavalry, capable of rapid strikes across open terrain. Expansion was not purely military. Diplomacy and strategic alliances also played a major role. Marriage, treaties, and trade agreements created networks of influence that allowed the kingdom to project power without constant warfare. Axum's growing reputation as a formidable and fair state attracted both merchants and allies, enhancing its regional authority. Trade remained a lifeblood of the kingdom. Agilis flourished as a commercial hub, facilitating exchanges between Africa, Arabia, India, and the broader Mediterranean. Gold, ivory, and exotic animals flowed out of Axum, whilst textiles and luxury items entered, creating wealth that financed monumental building projects and the administration of the kingdom. Control over these trade routes allowed Axum not only to profit, but to influence the movement of goods and culture across vast distances. This interconnectedness positioned Axum as a bridge between continents, giving it both economic and diplomatic leverage. The kingdom also began projecting cultural influence alongside political power. Obelisks and palaces rose throughout the highlands, displaying architectural skill and reinforcing the authority of kings. Public ceremonies, religious festivals, and monumental inscriptions celebrated royal achievements while shaping the identity of the Axumite people. By the 3rd and 4th centuries CE, Axum had established itself as a respected regional power, with influence reaching across the Red Sea into southern Arabia and beyond. The combination of military strength, diplomatic skill, economic foresight, and cultural innovation created a state capable of enduring challenges and thriving as one of the great empires of ancient Africa. By the early centuries CE, Axum had matured into a kingdom capable of long-term stability, governance, and international influence. The monarchy's integration of political, religious, and cultural authority ensured the loyalty of subjects and the cohesion of society. Kings were seen not only as rulers, but as intermediaries between the divine and the people, a concept reinforced through inscriptions, ceremonial rituals, and monumental construction. This melding of spiritual and political authority allowed the kingdom to enforce laws, manage resources, and expand its reach while maintaining internal unity. Infrastructure became a critical factor in Axum's enduring success. Roads linked highland centers with lowland settlements and the coastal port of Axum, facilitating trade, troop movement, and communication. Agriculture, supported by terrace hillsides and irrigation systems, provided a stable food supply, while wealth from trade financed monumental architecture and religious institutions. Coins minted by Axumite kings circulated widely, demonstrating the kingdom's economic sophistication and reinforcing its authority both internally and abroad. The cultural foundation of Axum during this period was equally important. Indigenous beliefs blended with South Arabian influences, creating a society open to innovation yet respectful of tradition. Early sacred sites, temples, and palaces reflected the kingdom's integration of religion, governance, and public life. This cultural framework laid the groundwork for one of Axum's most significant developments, the adoption of Christianity in the 4th century CE. The combination of strong central authority, economic power, and a cohesive culture allowed Axum to thrive for centuries, leaving a legacy that would influence African history long after its decline. By the end of this era, Axum had solidified itself as a formidable kingdom, prepared to enter a golden age of trade, religion, and architectural achievement that would astonish the ancient world.